Hello, it's Dave here with another friendly pre-podcast message. So this is pretty much a warning to anyone who actually wants to see Star Trek Beyond and not know what actually happens in the end, because we pretty much spoil that from the very beginning of our review. So a shorter way to say that is spoilers ahead. So you have been warned. And this is the end of the message, and the podcast will begin as of now.
Hello, it's Dave here. I'm here with my wife, Cathy.
Hello.
And my mother-in-law, Linda, special guest star.
Back by popular demand.
This is where you say hello.
Hello.
You have to prove that you're actually here.
Yeah.
And that
I'm
we're
actually
not,
here,
we're not
and they
crazy.
actually funded my flight to London for a return visit on the Cinemile.
We
Yeah.
did. We took it out of the Cinemile budget.
You did.
We booked
Hot royalties.
international guest stars. And you're our first. Well, you're our first returning guest. You're also our first and only guest.
Yes. And it's by listener demand. I mean, we've been inundated with emails for you to come back.
So many
Okay.
people said that you were much better than me, to which I took issue with. So I'm basically here to prove that I'm actually better than you.
Okay, game on, Dave.
This is it's a podcast off.
Yeah, and we're not walking to the cinema yet. We're in our garden drinking wine.
Yeah, we're having a few drinks. It's Friday night. We're relaxing, and we're going to go to see Star Trek Beyond in about an hour.
Yeah, very exciting.
Yeah, we're excited. So I mean, you've been getting ready, Linda. You've been
I've been
watching
getting
Star
ready.
Trek: The Next Generation
I-
all day,
I-
or at least when I walked in half an hour ago.
At least 10 minutes before you came home. It's like getting in the mood. But not just was I enjoying Star Trek, but because I'm now one of these VOD-only generation.
Nice.
You like that, don't you? I am so excited to sit with the remote control and a Skybox set. I've just been watching TV.
You've been binging.
I've just
It's all,
been
and it's all
binging.
on Netflix, actually. Netflix
Is it?
just
Yeah, it's
did
all
a
on
deal.
Netflix.
They just did a deal with Star Trek. They've got international rights for the brand new Star Trek show next year, and they've got the entire back catalogue. I feel like I've just plugged them.
You have,
So
yeah.
if
You don't. He doesn't
Netflix-
work for Netflix.
If you do want to reach out for a sponsorship deal, we are.
And we're all really excited because we are all Trekkies in different ways.
Whole Trek.
Yeah, including my mother, which is
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah,
So we, in our household, which is all girls, in the noughties, all got obsessed with Next Generation and also Voyager, Captain Janeway.
Who was
Seven of
your
Nine.
favourite? 7 and 9?
7 of 9.
She was hot.
Yeah.
7 of 9.
Yeah, she was our favourite.
She was great.
But in Next Generation, my favourite was Patrick Stewart.
Oh, Jean-Luc.
Yeah,
I mean,
Jean-Luc.
in fairness, there were the Jean-Luc wars. We all wanted him.
Yeah, we all wanted
We
to.
all knew he was
And my
fantastic.
sister Jackie always had this amazing fantasy where, even though it was slightly odd because she was about 15 at the time, but her and Jean-Luc would get together and he would lift her up and she would say, "Hoisted by my own Picard." Do you remember that? I do. But she also fancied Will Wheaton because they were, or Elizabeth, one of them fancied
around
him.
the same age.
One of them was around the same
Will
age as
Wheaton
him.
was exactly her age.
Yeah.
Do you know, I was just
I
thinking...
never fancied Will Wheaton.
Well, no, I was watching him today and I was actually laughing, thinking of him and Big Bang Theory, Sheldon.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And he's just like a boy in this episode today, and he's just like, he's so good
No,
in the
he's
Big
a
Bang
man.
Theory. He's
Yeah.
a man, but it was.
Well, I love
great.
The Next Generation. That was
Yeah,
my
my
absolute
favourite.
show. And Picard, so Picard or Kirk? That's the question everyone asks, because we're going to see the original
Picard.
crew today. Yeah,
Always Picard.
for me.
I
as
didn't
well.
watch the original, so it's not really a question for me other than beam me up, Scotty.
And what's your relationship with the movies? Do you know?
Haven't watched that many actually, so I watched the last one before the last one, so I'm kind of in a bit of a catch-up place, but looking forward to this.
Yeah, you
Cool.
won't have
I mean,
missed anything.
yeah, you haven't really missed much. Interesting. Actually, I've got an interesting fact. Would you like to hear it?
Yeah, maybe.
The phrase "beam me up, Scotty," which I somehow said wrong just now. "Beam me up, Scotty," was never actually said throughout the whole of Star Trek.
I heard that before.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
Oh,
also,
you're trying to out podcast me?
Yeah.
You've already heard my
I
story.
heard
need
that,
to
but didn't
also-
remember.
And we need to mention that Dave, the massive nerd that he is, a couple of years ago did a challenge for himself that I kind of vaguely partook in, where he watched
Oh,
every Star
yeah.
Trek movie back to back, and then did an inverted pyramid of best to worst.
I ranked them all from best to worst. I don't know, blog I
so we'll
see.
link to that.
I'll
We'll put
link
it
to
in the
that.
show notes, but we'll put it on the cinemile.com as well.
Yeah.
Because it was on your old website. But it was a lot of work went into it, and it was slightly disturbing time in our marriage, really. Oh no, we weren't
Well, I
married
watched
then.
them all.
You're
you're still
married,
married,
but you're
relationship.
still
I still
married.
married him, yeah,
You're still
so.
married. I did watch a Star Trek movie where Data died.
Spoiler alert! No, that's fine. That was probably one of the worst ones.
Yeah,
I tell you, that's pretty low on my inverted pyramid.
I remember. I was like, and he was like old and bloated, the actor. And
Yeah,
he
he's
was
sweating. It's like,
"Oh,
Daisy
no," and he
should
was like sweating
sweat.
all his gold off himself. It was
One of the funny things, we watched it because it's
I
on
swear
Netflix.
we're not drinking,
No,
really.
we're not. And because it's on Netflix now in HD, and we watched it on the projector last summer. I don't know why, and we were like, "Oh, you should never watch." No, like no offense to the actor, but
Never
you shouldn't
watch
watch
your heroes
Data.
on
You shouldn't
in
watch
HD.
Data in HD on a projector because he's like his makeup's running into his wrinkles. It's sweating. It's
No, it was bad.
terrible.
It was a bad-
Really see the
But
makeup.
anyway, we should wrap this up. But
Wrap it up.
was there anything
Yeah,
else?
let's finish
So
up here.
around the movie, so me and Dave loved the first movie and we liked the second movie, but
Do you
didn't think
mean
it was great.
of the new
ones,
the new
yeah.
ones, the reboots or whatever they're called?
Because we saw the last one in IMAX and all it was just giant close-ups of people's faces.
I quite like that one. I think that wasn't very popular with the fans. I think the fans have started a campaign against the most recent movie, saying it's the worst Star Trek movie evs, I think.
But we're excited for the new one, and it's really sad because Anton Yelchin, he passed away. The guy who was playing Scotty, the young guy.
No, he plays Chekhov.
Oh, Chekhov, sorry.
Yeah. He passed away
Scotty's played by the
last
writer.
month, which is very
Yeah,
sad.
he passed away, so that's really sad. So I think that adds a sad layer to the film as well.
I met him years ago. I interviewed
Did
him.
you?
Yeah.
How
For
come?
Terminator Salvation.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Oh. So anyway.
So my loss is more profound than yours.
Yes, of course. And we're super excited to go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Bye.
Make it so.
Off we go.
Make it so.
It isn't uncommon, you know. It's easy to get lost in the vastness of space. There's only yourself, your ship, your crew.
You really want to head back out there, huh?
Okay, so we're just out of Star Trek Beyond. Who wants to go first? I don't know. We've never done one with three before. Who talks first? Well, I'll stop talking.
Let Mum talk.
Somebody else
What
talk.
do you think, Mum?
Did you? You're shaking your head.
She's
like,
shaking her head.
No.
No, don't make me talk about that movie.
You weren't a fan. You were very, very hot. I noticed you were.
Very hot.
There's no aircon in that bloody cinema. On
You
top
were-
of all of our list of complaints about it, it was like boiling
You know,
hot.
what I would say, because I don't want to give any spoilers, but I would think it would be good to just come for the last 20 minutes. I loved the last
yes.
20
Oh my
minutes.
god!
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
Usually films like fall away in like
Yeah.
the third act, but
because the
it was
action-
amazing
the-
I loved
climax.
the last 20
Because
minutes.
I thought I really liked like the introduction that they've been in space a really long time when he's getting disenfranchised, and then next minute there's like a solid 30-minute action scene that all three of us were going, huh?
That was
happening?
that was like
I couldn't
very
understand it.
confusing, very confusingly directed.
It was. I
Um,
actually turned to Dave and said, "Who directed this?" And then I remembered it was the Fast and Furious guy because it felt. But it's weird because I like the Fast and Furious movies. Like they're well directed.
Yeah, great
That's-
action. But I
That
will
was
say,
incomprehensible.
I completely agree.
I didn't understand what was happening from
Yeah.
beginning to end.
From the whole thing?
No, didn't
Okay.
understand it.
I did once the
What?
action scene
Okay.
was over. I got it.
Look, we usually do a synopsis at the beginning,
Okay.
and I think, Linda, you should do the synopsis, considering you have no idea what happened, and I really want to hear what your brain thinks of that. So go on, try and sum up the plot of that movie.
Okay, so there was an old captain from a Starfleet ship who was stranded.
Whoa,
on-
whoa!
Oh, my, oh, there's
It's okay.
spoilers.
I'll put a
Okay.
warning at the beginning saying that we're going to spoil.
Okay,
Let's
we'll
just
do
talk
the
about the
spoilers. Yeah, we'll
spoilers.
do the spoilers,
So you
okay.
can.
Okay, so then I don't know how to make a synopsis without a
No, you
spoiler.
can do
No,
the
you can do
spoiler.
it. We'll spoil
Okay,
it.
spoil.
We'll spoil
Okay,
it.
so there was somebody stranded somewhere.
I like that. I thought it was a
Somebody
good twist.
stranded
Yeah,
somewhere.
I like that.
And it was the weapon. There was some weapon of mass destruction that I
Yeah.
never
I
got
didn't
to
get- I
understand.
didn't understand that either.
The
Something to
why,
do
the
with
how, and the
bees.
what of it. But many people died.
Wait, no, they didn't die. Wasn't that the point? They stopped it.
There seemed
What
to be
amazing!
loads
Put
of,
that on
there seemed
IMDb.
to be-
Many people
There
died.
seemed to be loads of collateral damage with the crew, though.
And souls.
At
seem
one
to have
point, the
been
entire ship,
Souls were sucked.
souls were sucked.
the entire so I liked the introduction that they'd been on a ship for like 700 days or whatever, and James is thinking of leaving, and Spock's thinking of leaving, and then this terrible disaster happens which none of us could follow when they're attacked.
That was a mess. That
because
whole
they have an ancient artifact on their ship that Idris Elba was looking for,
Yeah.
and then who was
She puts
awesome
it
in
much
it.
better.
And then And then what I really liked when they got rid of all the terrible action and they had just crash landed on this new planet, that's when the fun started. And that's when I was like, oh, this is actually a Star Trek movie. They're meeting new creatures, they're being ingenious with devices, they're having some funny moments. And that's the stuff like we love from the TV show. Like, we don't want to watch a half-hour action scenes. Like,
I totally agree. What I loved about it was
the fun of the
the
show.
crew working together. And I think that's what the whole theme of the movie was about. It was about, well, it was kind of like humanity. Humanity is best when they're united and they're working together. And that was always been the beauty of Star Trek, like you said.
And they introduced an awesome new character. I loved her. What was her name?
She was brilliant. Jayla.
Jayla. Oh, she was amazing.
She was great fun.
Simon Pegg was terrible.
You weren't a fan of his accent.
Every second sentence was, oui, lassie.
Lassie. Lassie.
Stop calling her lassie. It's so derogatory.
So diminishing.
She's amazing.
Is this like when I called the Ghostbusters girls?
Yeah, it is like that. But she has basically reconstructed a ship to the point where she can make it invisible when she wants. So she's created these amazing weapons where she can transport herself to multiple locations at the same time. And he's like, oh, lassie.
Oh, lassie, put that radio down, lassie. I'll do that.
I thought he was really bad. And I think Kirk's really good and I think Spock's really good and I think they're like the heart of the movie. But I love the Dr. Bones. I think he's brilliant.
Dr. Bones. So at points I got
Dr.
confused.
Bones, Dr. Bones.
Call it Dr. Bones. I thought I was watching Avatar at times.
Yeah, and
at other times
Guardians of the Galaxy.
I thought I was watching Harry Potter with his invisibility cloak.
Yeah.
And then there were shades of other movies, so I was a little bit. Oh yes, there was like Evel Knievel. There was
The bike
rather
stuff.
than bike scene.
I liked all the technology, the way they introduced all that, the sort of the holographic stuff where you could like have where there were hundreds of James T.
Yeah, that
Kirks
was
going
cool.
around on bikes, and then he was like spraying stuff behind him. All that was fun. I loved all the stuff they did with gravity throughout the film.
Yeah, the gravity stuff
so
was
then
fun.
the gravity
With the sliding
shifting
down
on
the
the
ship.
ship, when they're sliding down the ship, and then at the very end in that amazing climax when he was like changing gravity between the three buildings. How amazing was that? That like whole city that they.
I just thought it was the city from Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, what was it called?
Your Town.
Yeah, Your Town.
Your Town, was it?
Town.
I thought they were saying Yorktown. I wasn't sure. Your Town.
I thought there was
No, I
Your
think they
Town.
used the set from Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm convinced. And Zoe Saldana was in it, so it was even more
was a little
confusing.
bit
I'm
like
I've
that.
seen this movie
But it was
before.
very, very well designed and so well shot. Like the way the ships come in and they go under the city, and like there's like all these different like bits of gravity. So there's like, you know, the skyscrapers touching in the middle. Did you?
Yeah, I mean, that's fine. It took like
It's fine. I mean, like hundreds of people would have worked on that.
know, it's just-
I thought it looked
But
incredible.
all I want is the
It's
holodeck
fine.
and like Data reading his poetry and
You
like
can't have the holodeck.
You know, I just
It's
want
the original
I
crew.
want the fun things. I don't like
Data reading poetry.
the silly
all we
little
want.
character stuff. Like I did.
It had.
They had it by
little
the end,
character
but like there was a
stuff.
good
It had-
hour
I
where
mean,
they
at the
didn't
end-
have it.
At the end, it was about the collaboration and the camaraderie.
Yeah.
And that did come through.
And that was nice. How good was the thing with the music?
That was good.
The Beastie Boys.
It was good,
That
but
was
like
good.
then they
Yeah.
didn't make enough of it for me. Guardians of the Galaxy did it better with music.
Oh, true. But I mean,
Yeah.
how they actually solved the problem with music? That's amazing.
Yeah, I guess. But like, don't get me wrong, I liked it, and like it was as those movies go. There was like a genuine baddie with. I thought, yes, I couldn't understand his weapon, but I understood his motive, and I thought he was cool.
Can we
Which
talk
a lot of
about-
movies the baddies have no
I agree,
motives
I
these
thought he was
days,
pretty
and
good.
it wasn't that long. It was just under 2 hours, so
Can
it's
we-
actually a good Friday night movie.
Can we talk about? I have a question I didn't quite understand. And I
We're
understand,
not
Lynette,
the right
that you
people
didn't
to
understand
answer.
anything. But what I didn't understand was when he was stranded on the planet. Fine,
They're all
it's been
stranded.
100 years, and
Oh,
there was
the
3
captain.
crew members left. But how did he become Crawl, the weird monster who sucks people's
Because
energy?
he said this local indigenous technology that allows you to
That allows you
continue
to
your
turn into
lifespan.
Crawl.
So you're sucking the souls. So he was sucking souls from the locals, which was turning him into that kind of indigenous creature. And then in the end,
down ships.
yeah. And then in the end, he was sucking souls from the
feed
humans.
himself.
So he was sucking souls from the humans. So he was becoming more human again at the end. So it was whoever's
Oh,
souls
wow,
he was
okay.
sucking. I think.
Oh,
Well, you
that's
so
clever.
you actually
Yeah.
you answered that
did
question
understand
No, I think
perfectly.
that's true. Like I thought, I understood all that. I just didn't understand at the very end what he was trying to do, getting bees into an air vent. I was like, this seems a bit silly.
I didn't understand
was
the
ki-
weapon and what he was trying to do. with
Yeah.
So
it.
the weapon was
Why?
basically like just a biological weapon that
antimatter. It was
Yeah.
just destroying.
But he had a good
everything.
backstory. Like
Exactly.
we said, like all the Avengers movies. Sure, there's no like that the really big villain in the Avengers that we never see. He's got no motivation, or we don't know anything about him. So this one was like, I thought it was really clever.
Rule the universe, I guess. I don't know.
I like this one. Like the Confederation did him wrong, and that was cool. And I love Spock, but also I was confused because I didn't quite remember the last movie. But I was like, I thought Spock or Kirk died in the last movie, so I was surprised why they were both in this one.
Kirk died, and then they brought him back using Benedict Cumberbatch's blood. But they basically cured death. And this was a big sort of issue that people have pointed out, that at the end of the movie they have this unlimited supply of super blood that cures death.
So, like, why would anyone ever be in peril?
Yeah.
The best, I think the comic relief in the movie for me was definitely Bones, not Scotty, who I think would have been at one point, but he was just annoying now.
I did like the way Jayla she kept calling him Montgomery Scotty.
Yeah, she was brilliant. She was the standout. Who's the actress?
And James T.
I didn't recognise her.
So she was do you remember Kingsman? She was the one with the
Secret Service.
Yeah, do you remember Samuel L. Jackson's henchman? She had like 2 metal legs.
Oh,
and she
vaguely.
Like
I don't
or they were swords or something, and she fought people.
I remember the legs, not the actress.
Yeah.
But she was amazing in this anyway. She was definitely the standout.
So.
And Chekhov was good, but he wasn't really in it. And like I was explaining to Mom, wasn't sure who I was talking about, who had passed away. Yeah. And it's so sad, and I don't know, it just made me feel sad watching his scenes.
It's very sad. And it was very sad actually seeing the stuff with old Spock, because Leonard Nimoy died recently enough. And I got a nice moment when young Spock pulls out a picture of the old crew.
Yeah, that was cool.
That was nice.
And it's like, James Kirk, you're about to go downhill in the looks department.
Oh, snap, William Shatner!
Yeah, something happens in between this movie and that photo.
Yeah, it's called age.
It's called being a different person.
I kind of thought they all looked a lot older than...
they looked wrecked.
Like, we haven't seen them in, 4 or 5 years. They're starting to, and it's been... 2009 was the first time they were in it. So, they were sort of brought in as the young crew. And now I'm looking at them like, just lads.
A bunch of middle-aged men.
And
I have to say, I was glad we didn't watch it in 3D, because it was already incomprehensible enough.
It
was so dark. I couldn't make out. I was like, who's even shooting who? I don't understand.
And the words were very distorted. I found it even hard to figure the words.
The audio wasn't great.
So basically, Linda, you couldn't see anything. You couldn't hear anything.
I couldn't understand
you couldn't understand
the plot. It was so hot. She was fanning herself.
In an oven fanning herself. So I'm glad you came all this way over to London to spend time with us in an incomprehensible sauna.
But did you what was your sentiment at the end? Were you glad you'd seen it, or were you like, we should
glad it was over?
I loved the last 20 minutes.
Okay,
I was like, yay, I was cheering for
By the end I clapped, so that shows how fickle we are within a movie. Whereas at one point, 20 minutes in, I would have just been like, I'll go home.
I agree, the middle was dull. I was a little bit bored, and then
the beginning for me too was also boring.
I was into the beginning. I liked.
Yeah, I loved the beginning. I thought, this is the tone I want, an introspective, intellectual tone, and then the half-hour action scene started. I thought, never mind.
Who was that Admiral? Who's the actress?
Yeah, she was awesome. She was the Admiral of the city.
She's familiar.
I liked her. She was cool.
All right. So overall,
I recommend it.
You liked it, Linda. You really liked it.
I really wouldn't recommend it.
Would you recommend watching it in a cooler setting, like in a bath?
A
cold bath.
I recommend watching an episode of Next Generation.
Yeah, that's what I recommend. Yeah. Let's just go on.
Let's just do that. Let's watch. Let's watch Data reading poetry.
Yeah, and we need to put in, Dave. We need to link to your ranking of movies best to worst, and you need to add this one into it.
You need to do an updated I have version. To go off and write something. Oh, God. All right. So that about sums it up. I think.
Why can't they do
me as well?
Why can't they do a new one but with the younger version of Picard and everyone? That's what we want.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I read an article on, I think it was Screen Rant recently, which sort of cast that based on lookalikes.
We could do James McAvoy as the young Patrick Stewart. We know that works.
He could just make his career following Patrick Stewart.
And I'd love to see a young Voyager with Janeway in 7 of 9 and everyone.
Nobody wants a young Voyager reboot on screen. No. There's no demand for that.
We need a Next Generation though. Anyway,
all right.
So go see it if you fancy a light-hearted movie and you're willing to sit through some indiscriminate scenes where you don't know what's happening.
Little bit.
But it was nice, and I liked the moral of it. And they actually, you know, as we said, had a well-constructed villain. And Idris Elba was brilliant to see. Sure.
And they saved the world.
Yeah. Shh, spoiler.
Oh.
They all die at the end.
Well, thanks for coming over, Linda. It's
Yeah,
great to have
thank
you.
you.
Yeah, well, listen, we'll drop you off at the airport now.
Okay.
Yeah, straight off to the airport.
I just flew in. I've only been 3 hours in London.
And we didn't even bring you to a nice cinema.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.